Good morning, everyone, and thank you for waking up with me on Up with India. Today, I'll be joined by a 27-year-old entrepreneur from Middletown, Delaware, who was recently crowned Miss Delaware USA, Katie Guevarra, who was just nominated for this amazing title. And she is with me here on the show just ahead of the Miss USA competition, the national competition that state title holders compete in for the USA title. So I'm super happy to have her on the show. Thank you so much, Katie, for being here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, for those that see your face, they see the crown, but they want to know more about the woman behind it all. How would you describe yourself to our viewers?
Yes. So thank you so much for the introduction. So I am a second generation immigrant. I am the daughter of a Honduran immigrant and a Puerto Rican mom. So although she is not stateside born, she does have a lot of that American experience. And all of that influenced so much of how I grew up. I did grow up pretty low income, and Spanish was actually my first language. And I didn't learn it until I didn't learn English until I entered elementary school. So all of these challenges have definitely, impacted the trajectory of my life.
Mm.
But I feel like you are so much more than the circumstances that are kind of handed to you. So that empowered me to create my Strength in Me initiative, which allows me to share my personal story of overcoming all of these challenges and embracing my past, because it has affected my future in so many ways that I've been able to learn from all of these challenges. So my mom was always my source of strength, and I attribute all of my success to her. So that's just a little bit about me and my initiative, and what I stand for as Miss Delaware USA.
Yes, as I was looking on your social media page, I see such pride, the pride that you have in your heritage and where you come from, and how that has played a role in who you are. And now, as a state title holder of the Miss Delaware USA competition, Katie, why did you decide to run for this? And what was it about this particular competition that really stuck out for you? And you were like, okay, I think I'm going to go with this one.
Yes. So I've actually been competing since I was 10 years old. My mom entered me in my first pageant in order to gain some confidence because I was her human translator, but I was so incredibly shy, that I would literally hide behind her. So I was like this little voice talking in English beside, behind my mom. So she entered me in my first pageant to gain some confidence and some communication skills and just be able to speak up for myself. But of course, because we were of lower income, I learned so much more from that first experience. I had to fundraise all of my entry fees. So I've been competing for a while, and Miss USA never seemed like an unattainable dream to me. Miss USA was always like that picture perfect beauty queen that I had always envisioned in my brain. Like the typical Miss Puerto Rico and Miss Venezuela, super tall, very thin, very, very well spoken, absolutely gorgeous. And because of all the challenges and obstacles, I went through, I never saw myself as worthy enough of being on that stage. But at 27 years old, I finally got it together. And I had the confidence to enter, but I ultimately entered because I love the motto that confidently beautiful is what Miss USA stands for. Someone that is truly beautiful inside and out, passionate, about all of who she is and all of the organizations that she stands for.
Mhm.
So ultimately, that's why I decided to enter this year.
What was the main obstacle that you can identify in your life that really helped to prepare you for this competition? I know you talked a little bit about your mom, getting you involved in pageantry very early so that you could get out of your comfort zone and your shell and speak a little bit more and stand up for yourself. But were there any other obstacles in life that you can really pinpoint and say, wow, that was a pivotal moment in my life that has really helped me get through this competition?
I always refer to when I was about 14, 15 years old. And I actually went through an eating disorder that led into a subsequent depression.
Wow.
And I always say I would never change that time of my life because I learned the most valuable life lessons during that time. I learned so much about where your self-worth and your value comes from. It doesn't come from a number on the scale. It doesn't come from what the judges say you are. It comes from who you truly believe you are. And that's when I think I truly discovered who Katie was during that difficult time, and seeing who was there for me and who was able to get me out of this dark place to the positive person that you see today.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for your transparency on that. I think that a lot of people sometimes hide those moments in their lives because they're either ashamed of it or they're not ready to talk about it. So the fact that you have grown from that moment to who you are now and you're comfortable sharing that, I really appreciate you being honest with our viewers. Katie, when it comes to a competition like this, there's, like you said, there's so many preconceived notions about what a Miss Delaware USA, Miss USA, Miss Universe woman is. And, you touched on something that is very important to the competition in the Miss USA competition, which is that slogan, confidently beautiful. What does that mean to the average woman, again, who looks at the idea of what a pageant queen is supposed to be and may not relate to that? What does confidently beautiful mean in your own perspective?
Well, on one sense, I do want to point out that the idea of beauty is what you make it to be. So it's constantly evolving. And I love that we're focusing more on inner beauty. And that's exactly where I think my beauty comes from. I don't necessarily see exterior. I think our true beauty shines from within. And it does sound a little bit cliche, but it comes from that strength, that tenacity, that hard work, the determination, all of those unique qualities that make you you. So that's where that comes from.
In your introduction, you brought it up just a little bit, the Strength in Me platform that you created. Okay, so I'm assuming that was your platform when you were running, and that is what you are now spreading awareness about. But give our viewers a little bit more information about that. I saw what you're doing on social media, online, and the different conversations you've been having. But for those that don't know, what does Strength in Me mean?
Strength in Me is an initiative. Like you said, I did compete with that at Miss Delaware USA, and I'm so lucky that I'm able to take it to a national platform now as I head into Miss USA. But it is all about empowering women to embrace their own unique stories. We all have overcome so much, especially as women in today's society. We are always, we have so many things to deal with that people wouldn't necessarily see to the naked eye. And like you also mentioned, we try and kind of hide these things. We feel like they're imperfections or they're mistakes. And no, they're what make us absolutely beautiful. They are what make us the strong women that we are today. So I think it's so important for our young girls today to realize it's okay to embrace where you have come from, because it's not about where you've come from, it's about where you're going. And the only way you can get to that future, to your destiny, is by embracing your past and noticing all of these incredible life lessons that you've learned. So I talked a lot about my mom and how she was my source of strength and she was the person to get me through everything. Now I understand that not every girl has that. So I created my series on Instagram, so girls can find a role model in all of these wonderful women who are willing to come forward and share their own unique stories. So that was something that I actually wanted to do across the state of Delaware in person by entering these schools. But of course, the pandemic kind of threw a wrench in that plan. So I'm so lucky that I was actually able to take it to a social media platform and actually make it a more nationwide series and life lesson for girls. So I've been very fortunate throughout this year.
And so right now we're talking about all of the great things that come with being a title holder that come after the pageant. But let's bring things back a little bit. When you were preparing for the actual competition, Katie, what were some of the things that you trained for? What was the mindset that you're in? Take me back a little bit to get an understanding of that.
Yes. So as I'm preparing for Miss USA, a lot hasn't changed from what I was doing to prepare for Miss Delaware USA. So of course I'm working with like coaches and media training in order to make sure that I'm always putting my best foot forward.
I'm so sorry, Katie. I meant when you were preparing for Miss Delaware USA.
Oh, yes. So when I was preparing for Miss Delaware USA, I was really focused on being my best self. I thought I had done everything in my power leading up to Miss Delaware USA to be the best Katie that I wanted to be. And, that was living a healthy lifestyle and making sure I was doing it my way so that I wouldn't put myself in a situation where I was when I was 14 years old. So that was a big part of that. I wanted to make sure that my health and nutrition was at the utmost priority. And then, of course, working with a couple coaches, not too many. Now, of course, it's a different story now that we're in the big leagues. But I was working with a couple close coaches that I've had my entire life, or close to my entire pageant life, to really hone in on my Strength in Me initiative and what I wanted that to be, because that was something that I was very passionate about sharing in the interview room at the state pageant. I said, if I walk away from this pageant without being Miss Delaware USA, I want the judges and the fellow contestants that I'm competing with to know where I've come from and why that has made me the person that I am today. So that was just a little bit of how I prepped for the state pageant. Since I had on stage experience in the past, I did feel pretty comfortable in like the evening gown portion and the swimsuit portion in terms of walking.
Was there anything that you were nervous about in particular?
That I was nervous about. I'm always quite nervous about the onstage question. So I love interviewing one on one with the panel. I think that they get to really see the vulnerability. But when it comes to onstage question, you don't know what they're going to ask. It's usually dependent on what's going on in terms of politics and the world around us. So that's always like super nerve wracking to me.
Mhm. And it's nerve-wracking because you, again, like you said, you want to not only represent yourself, but you're representing a state and you want to do that to the best of your ability. So it's like, I gotta make sure that
Yes.
I really come with my best. I come with my heat. The first Asian American woman to win Miss USA, Katie, was in 1962. And the first Hispanic woman was in 1985. And the first African American winner was 1990, and the first Muslim Miss USA was in 2010. What is the first that you are trying to break? Is there any first that you're looking forward to succeeding in this competition?
Um, that's a great question. So as the first Miss Delaware USA, which I think is absolutely nuts, I think it would be incredible to actually have Miss Delaware USA make the top 10, possibly make the top 5. So Delaware has only placed as a finalist at the Miss USA pageant once, and
One
that
time.
was, yes, that was Renee Bull, I believe in 2015, if I'm not getting her
Yes.
year wrong.
Yeah.
So we've actually never broken past that. She actually made, I believe, the top 11, if I'm not mistaken. So traditionally it is a top 10, but with People's Choice, the numbers always varying. So I would love to be the first Miss Delaware USA who is a Latina to make the top 5.
Representing that Honduran pride and having a lineage that is directly connected to the country. What does this title mean for your family and those that share your heritage?
It is the ultimate fulfillment of the American dream. My parents both came here many moons ago in search of the American dream, not just for themselves, but for the generations that they were going to raise in the future. And I think that truly, I mean, just being crowned Miss Delaware USA was already such a dream come true and such a representation of what America stands for. You can literally come here and you can achieve all of your goals and all of your dreams as long as you have an amazing support system. And I'm so happy that I have that.
Absolutely. I was talking to Miss Delaware Teen USA, and she was talking to me about some of the greatest aspects of the Miss Delaware USA family, and that is that sisterhood that is amongst the women. How would you say that Miss Delaware USA differs from any other pageant that you've attended? I know that you were just in New York. Talk to me about the differences, but then also like the main things that you feel like you learn from other women by being a part of this.
Yes, so Delaware is very small. So I love that the state pageant is traditionally in the smaller range. It's about 30 contestants when it comes to the Miss. And I believe Sammy, my teen, had about 7 contestants compete with her. So we get to really get to know each other, and it creates that sisterhood, that bond where you get to know each other on a more personal and intimate level. So I learned so much about career ambitions and, favorite volunteering opportunities, favorite place to grab coffee. Like, it is just a true sisterhood. And then when it comes to the teen and the Miss, Sammy has become one of my best friends throughout this year, and so has Vincenza. So that legacy is just something that we hope to carry on year after year, um, for girls within the community to just like really come together and support one another.
Are there any collaborations happening between you and Miss Delaware Teen that is coming up?
Co-collaborations, no, unfortunately not right now, just because we are so close to taking off for Miss USA. We did do a live for My Strength in Me series about 2 weeks ago, and that was super fun because that was actually the first time that we got to do a live together. But besides our send-off party on Sunday, we are not collabing until after Miss USA, and then we're going to be doing hopefully tons of volunteering opportunities again after we get back.
What would you say are a similarity and a difference between you and Sam?
Okay, so the most obvious difference is her height.
Yes.
So, so Sammy is 6'1" and I'm 5'2", 5'3" on a good day. So we are like the funniest couple when we are together. It's always like, okay, she has to sit down or I need a step stool in order to take photos. But in terms of things we have in common, I love learning new things about her every single day. So I posted a little video about my favorite snacks on IGTV 2 days ago. And
Uh-huh.
I talked about my obsession with peanut butter. And she's like, wait, I'm obsessed with peanut butter. So that's one thing. But then this morning, we were talking about our obsession with skincare. Like, we just have like so many like little girly things in common that have really come in handy as we're preparing for our national pageants.
I saw one of the things that you also have in common is your passion for volunteering,
Yes.
right? And so that is actually Sam's platform, which is community service. Yours is Strength in Me. But talk to me about your role in volunteerism in the community and some of the organizations that you support and work with.
Yes, I've been volunteering for just about as long as I've been competing in pageants. I think it's so vital for our youth to go out and feel what it's like to make a difference, because there's truly nothing comparable to it. And you do learn a lot of other aspects of life that come in handy, like time management, commitment. So I love just volunteering as a whole. Some of the organizations that we've been fortunate enough to work with throughout our reigns as Miss Delaware and Miss Delaware Teen USA are the Special Olympics of Delaware and Best Buddies, who both do some pretty similar work and are incredible at making these marginalized communities feel special and feel like they are just like everybody else. So I think my favorite event that we actually volunteered at this year was the Special Olympics bowling tournament, where over
Mhm.
200 bowlers came out and volunteers served as like their team captains. So we had each a team of about 8 to 10 bowlers, and we rooted for them, we supported them, we made sure that they were being safe, and it was just such an incredible feeling. To be able to connect with these individuals who just want to be loved and just want to feel like like all of us.
Most definitely. Katie, with you representing the entire state of Delaware, I know that that comes with so much responsibility. And what does that responsibility look like for you in your everyday life?
I think our number one responsibility as a title holder is to be a positive role model and to make sure that you are presenting yourself, the organization, your sponsors in the best light possible. So that means, you know, being active on social media, making sure that you are getting out into the community and volunteering, making a community outreach effort. And of course, it is a lot more difficult during the pandemic, and that's why social media has become such a strong suit, especially for all the title holders, because it's kind of our only way to communicate with all of these incredible people who just want to feel like they're a part of our journey. So, those are just a couple of the responsibilities that we have.
And like you said, you're responsible for so many people, and not to signal out a specific group of people, but just considering the fact that you are a Latina woman, do you sometimes find your attention being diverted to that specific community in order to advocate for them, uplift them? Do you ever have the opportunity even to work on specific projects that relate directly to the Latino community?
I love being able to interact with the Latino community when I am out on appearances. So, this was something that I actually was it's something that is kind of brushed aside in Delaware. So I didn't realize how underrepresented we actually are
Mhm.
in this state. So it wasn't until I started doing some more like just volunteering opportunities or even just like kind of community outreach that I realized people were coming up to me because I looked different. They didn't know exactly what I was, but when I opened my mouth and I was able to speak Spanish, they were like, "Oh my goodness, you're a Latina." And I'm like, "Yes, yes, I am." So, being able to connect with a community that seems to be really underrepresented in this great state has been incredible. In terms of doing some more like work with the community, I actually was able to do a media press with Telemundo in Delaware, which was awesome because it was the first opportunity that I think Delawareans were able to see that they have a Hispanic representative.
And I love it so much. First of all, I love everything about the culture. When I was in high school and college, I studied Spanish, a little bit of Spanish, un poquito. I can only speak a little bit. But you can teach me some new things, Katie, okay?
Absolutely. Un poquito will get you a long way.
Yes, right? You just got to know a couple key words and you'll figure it out along the
There
way.
you go. Especially if you're traveling. Baño and
Yeah,
comida. There you go. You're
perfect.
set.
That's all I need. They donde? Where am I going? Okay, I figured it out. But again, I love the culture. I love the heritage, and it's amazing to have someone in Delaware with this title that has that background. As you are going into your journey, to the Miss USA competition now. Again, we talked a little bit about your preparation for the Miss Delaware USA competition, which was bringing along all of your history, your heritage, and your story. But as you go into this Miss USA competition, what are some of the things that you are bringing along with you for this part of the journey?
I definitely want to continue, carrying that torch for the Hispanic community. Again, I feel like women and Hispanic women are very underrepresented just in our society as a whole. And even at the Miss USA pageant, we've only had a very, very small um amount of women that have reached Miss USA as a Latina. So I think it's very important for representation to count and to matter, especially during this year. We've realized how certain communities are really suffering, and I cannot wait to step on that stage and just represent myself and represent the Latina culture and all of the challenges that I've overcome. I love that I'm able to speak about all of these, obstacles that I've overcome, because you never know who you're going to touch and who you're going to impact with your story.
I don't mean to get too deep in your business, but I was again being a creep and on social media scrolling through, and I saw you talking about how you are preparing your diet for the competition. What are some of the things that you eat to be so ready for this?
Yes, that's a journalist in you. I did graduate with a communication and media studies degree. So I am just like you. I'm always like scrolling, getting to know people virtually
Yes.
without them even knowing. But some of the things that I enjoy eating. So first off, I've actually loved learning how to cook because I wasn't a very good cook before the pandemic.
Yes, Latina heritage and all.
I know. During the pandemic, I had so much free time on my hands, and I was like, I'm going to become a better cook.
Right.
So, a lot of the things that I love making are like just variations of grilled chicken, ground turkey. One of my favorite bowls is like a ground turkey, cauliflower gnocchi, marinara, like bowl. Yeah, it's a bowl with some spinach.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's so good and it's super healthy. It's filled with, tons of fiber, healthy protein. It has all of those macros in there. So I am on a mainly like protein based diet, and that's because I want to make sure that I'm getting everything that my body needs when I am working it to its max at the gym.
Is there a pressure to look a certain way?
You know what? I think we can all agree that just American society as a whole puts a pressure on women to look a certain way, but I think it's important for us to realize all of our bodies are super different
Mhm.
and they're unique and they're beautiful in their own way. So I've learned to embrace my curves and the way that God made me, because I've fought hard to be where I am now. So I don't feel that pressure anymore, but that's not to say that I didn't feel it, back when I was 14 years old.
How did you overcome that, Katie? And I don't want to, get too deep into that, but I do want you to leave women with a directive and understanding of how to overcome something that could take over your life in that way. As we know, a bulimia, anorexia, these types of food disorders really affect people's lives. But how do you get out of that space?
Yeah, your mindset determines so much of who you are and what you become. And I think shifting that mindset of focusing on the number on the scale and the measurements, to, I need to love myself, because this body is able to do so much. I was able to run my first half marathon. My body was what was able to get me to do that. I This body was able to graduate college on a full academic scholarship. If my mental state was not there, I would have never have been able to accomplish any of these things. So I think changing your mindset is going to change your life when you are struggling through challenges like that. So for me, that did involve, I have the most incredible mother and the most incredible sister who were there for me every step of the way. And they truly made sure that I realized that my self-worth was so much more than a number on the scale.
I know that you note your mother a lot as a key inspiration in your life, but is there anything or anyone else that you really rely on to keep you going?
Besides my mom, my sister. So my sister and I are actually very far apart in age. A fun fact: my siblings and I was a huge surprise, and this will not be a shock when I say their ages. So my sister is a full 21 years older than me, and my brother is 19 years older than me. So
Wow.
they kind of served as like double parents. When, my mom, especially when my mom became a single mother, I was so young. My sister and my brother were really able to take me under their wing, and showed me the ropes of life. So I'm very appreciative for the both of them. But my sister really did serve as a second mom for me growing up. And there's always those things that you can't necessarily go to mom for. And I'm
Right.
so fortunate that I had a sister that was old enough to give me sound advice,
Mhm.
but still be someone that I could trust and be 100% honest with.
Was there any specific advice that either your mom or your sister gave you as you prepared for the Miss Delaware USA competition and now as you prepare for Miss USA?
Yes. So my go figure, my slogan, like my favorite slogan in English is I can and I will.
Hmm.
And in Spanish, it's not a direct translation, but my mom always says, si se puede.
Really?
Yes. So, that's something I always grew
Yeah.
up with. And it just rings so true because you can do anything that you set your heart to. I always saw I wasn't going to be Miss Delaware USA. I was never worthy enough of a state title holder, of being a state title holder for the Miss USA organization. But si se puede, you can do it. You can and you will, as long as you, again, change that mindset and just trust your own worth and your own value.
Have you and the former Miss Delaware USA title holder, did you guys have any competition? Did you guys have any conversation prior to, well, I guess now in the midst of you preparing for this? And was there anything that she was able to gift you with, any words of wisdom that she was able to gift you with?
There were actually two former Miss Delaware USAs that I am friends with, and I'm so fortunate that they actually were the ones to encourage me to enter the state pageant. So, Mia and Renee, who were both guests on my Strengthen Me series initiative on Instagram, they are just such loving individuals, and they just encouraged me to be myself. They're like, honestly, that is what you have to do, especially in the state of Delaware. People love someone that is genuine and someone that is so passionate about life and her causes. Both of them have some incredible stories. If y'all haven't checked out my Instagram, make sure you listen to my talks with them because you'll see why they represented us at Miss USA, as Miss Delaware USA in the past. They're so incredible. So having them as my support system and constantly giving me positive encouragement, even when I was, tired and I was like, well, I don't want to do another mock interview. They were just always so incredibly supportive.
Oh, most definitely. And especially a big shout out to Mia. I met her when I was in college. Such a great girl, a great energy, as you said, and a super supportive person. So that's amazing that you all have that relationship and they were able to pour into you. Katie, where is all of this taking you? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Beyond pageantry, one of my passion projects is being a freelance makeup artist. I actually own my own business called KG Beauty, where I travel the country working with clients, usually in bridal or pageantry. So I still am super involved in the pageant industry, just beautifying them and making sure that they realize that their beauty does come from within. So I can slap all the makeup on you as you want, but you are only as beautiful as you feel. And that's something that I truly love doing, working for myself and being able to instill this in my clients. So within 5 years, I did mention that I graduated with a communication and media studies degree from
Yeah.
Fordham University. So I hope to be able to use both of my passions and integrate a freelance makeup artist position into the social media department of a major beauty brand, where you serve almost as an influencer, but more as an educator with people nationwide.
That sounds awesome. Very, very interesting. I mean, anytime you'd like to do my makeup, Katie, you are more than welcome.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
So, where is the Miss USA competition going to be held this year, and how can people tune in and watch, and those that are from Delaware root you on?
So the Miss USA pageant will be held in Memphis, Tennessee, right in the heart of Graceland this year on November 9th, live on FYI.
And is there any way that people can actually go and see the competition in person, or is this something that they would just have to watch from online?
Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, it is now a closed event. It was ticketed to about 300 people, but because of the pandemic, we want to make sure that we're following safety protocol. So they cannot go visit and watch us live anymore, but definitely tune in live on FYI. Prelims will also be streamed live from the Miss USA website. So you'll still feel like you're 100% part of that experience.
And again, one more time, what day is that? What time is that so people can be tuned in?
So that is November 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FYI.
And what do you want people to remember about you most, Katie? As you enter this competition, what is the thing that, or the message that you want people to remember as you take the stage?
I hope people remember my story and the fact that I am a product of all of these challenges that I have overcome as a second generation immigrant and the Latina. I can connect with so many people, and I hope that sharing my story of everything that we kind of talked about in this segment, um, that there's something that someone can connect with me on and truly feel my passion for life and my passion for this title.
Mm. Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you again for coming on the show, sharing your story, and allowing Delawareans to get a closer look into your life so that they know who is the woman behind the crown that's going to be representing us in that big competition. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to all of you for watching Up with India. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning on Up with India.